He stood alone in the cold morning light, a millionaire who had everything except the one person he loved most. As he placed fresh flowers on his daughter's grave, his hands trembled, and his voice cracked with regret. People in town often whispered that money couldn't save a broken heart, and today, he proved them right. He whispered apologies no one else could hear, talking to the daughter he believed he had lost forever. But what he didn't know, what he couldn't even imagine, was that she was standing only a few feet away, hidden behind an old oak tree, watching him with wide, uncertain eyes. She had spent years living in the shadows, believing she had no place in his world. Now, seeing him cry so openly, she realized the truth was far more complicated than she had ever been told. Why had she been kept away? Who had lied to both of them? And what would happen if he turned around and saw her there live? The wind shifted. A twig snapped under her foot. He lifted his head. In that split second, everything hung in the balance, and her next move would change both their lives forever. Her breath caught as he slowly turned, but a passing gust pushed loose petals across the grave, distracting him for a moment. She pressed herself against the rough bark of the tree, heart pounding so loudly she feared he might hear it. For years she had lived under a different name, raised by people who claimed they were protecting her from the truth. They told her father never cared, that he had chosen his wealth and status over his own child. But seeing him now broken, older, and carrying a sadness that seemed carved into his face, everything she had believed began to shift. She remembered small pieces from her childhood, a warm hand guiding her across the street, a deep voice reading bedtime stories, the faint smell of his cologne when he hugged her. Those memories had always felt distant, almost unreal, but now they stirred like echoes she could no longer ignore. If he loved her this much, then why had she been taken away? Who stood to gain from tearing them apart? He knelt again, whispering something she couldn't quite make out. His shoulders shook, and she felt a sting of guilt mixed with fear. Should she step forward? Should she remain hidden? Before she could decide, a familiar car pulled up behind him, and the person who stepped out made her blood run cold. She froze the moment she recognized the figure stepping out of the car. It was the woman who had raised Hertha, the same woman who had told her for years that her father wanted nothing to do with her. She watched as the woman walked toward the grieving millionaire with a calm, practiced smile, the kind she always used when hiding something. Her father stood up slowly, wiping his eyes as he greeted her, but there was tension in his posture, as if he didn't fully trust her either. Hidden behind the tree, she tried to piece together the tangled threads of her past. Why was this woman here? Why did her father look wary, almost guarded? She remembered overhearing arguments when she was younger, hushed conversations behind closed doors, and the way the woman always changed the subject whenever her father's name was mentioned. It felt as if her entire life had been built on missing pieces, half-truths, and secrets no one wanted to explain. The woman leaned closer to her father, saying something in a low voice. Whatever it was, it made his expression darken. He stepped back, his jaw tightening, and for a moment, she saw hurt flash across his face again. The woman reached out to touch his arm, but he didn't let her. From her hiding place, she felt a chill. If this woman had lied to her all these years, what else had she done? And why was she still hovering around him, pretending to care? Their voices rose slightly, words still unclear, but the tension between them grew thicker by the second. Then the woman glanced toward the trees toward where she was hiding, as if she sensed another presence nearby. She held her breath, praying she wouldn't be discovered. The woman's eyes narrowed as she scanned the tree line, and the girl pressed herself even closer to the trunk, barely daring to breathe. She could feel the tension growing not just around her, but between the two people standing at the grave. Her father took another step back, folding his arms as if bracing himself for a truth he didn't want to hear. The woman followed him, her voice growing sharper, her movements more restless, as if she was afraid of losing control over something she had carefully built for years. He finally raised his voice, loud enough for the girl to catch fragments, words like lies, documents, and where is she? Her heart pounded harder with every word. It was clear he had been searching for her, maybe even fighting legal battles she knew nothing about. All this time, he hadn't abandoned her, he had been kept away. The realization hit her so hard that her knees nearly gave out. The woman shook her head quickly, denying everything, but her voice quivered. Her father wasn't convinced. He stepped closer, anger simmering beneath his grief, demanding answers she refused to give. The air around them felt charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. Then suddenly, her father turned sharply toward the trees, his gaze locked in her direction, his expression shifting from frustration to something deeper, something that made her chest tighten. He took a slow step forward. The woman spun around too, her face twisting with panic as she looked toward the exact spot where the girl stood hidden. Branches rustled above her, a crow burst from the tree, but neither of them looked away this time, and in that breathless, suspended moment, she knew she was out of time. Before she could run or step out, another car rolled into the cemetery, sleek, dark, and unfamiliar. Her father and the woman both turned toward it, tension snapping even tighter in the air. A man she had never seen before stepped out, dressed too formally for a quiet visit. He carried a folder under his arm, and the moment her father saw it, his expression changed from confusion to alarm. The man walked straight toward them, ignoring the uneasy silence. He greeted her father politely, then handed over the folder. The woman stiffened, her jaw locked, eyes darting between the two men. Her father opened the folder with shaking hands, and even from a distance, the girl saw the shock drain the color from his face. Whatever was inside, it wasn't just important, it was devastating. The woman lunged forward, trying to snatch the papers, but the man stepped between them, blocking her. Her father's voice cracked as he asked how long this had been going on. The man answered quietly, but every word made the woman pale. She reached out again, desperate now, insisting they talk somewhere else. Her father didn't move. He stared at the papers like they were rewriting everything he thought he knew, hidden behind the tree. The girl felt her stomach twist. This wasn't just about her disappearance. Something bigger, something dangerous had been kept from both of them. Then the man lifted his gaze and looked directly toward the trees, toward her hiding spot, as if he already knew she was there. Her heart dropped, and for the first time, she wondered if coming here had been a mistake. Her breath caught as the man took a step toward the trees. Her father followed his gaze, and this time, his eyes didn't drift away. He walked forward slowly, almost cautiously, as if afraid the truth might disappear again. She knew hiding was pointless now. With trembling legs, she stepped out from behind the tree, her heart pounding so loudly she barely heard the woman's sharp gasp. Her father stopped a few feet away, staring at her as if the world had tilted. His lips parted, but no words came out, only a choked sound that made her eyes sting. For a moment, they simply looked at each other, years of pain and confusion locked between them. Then he reached out, hesitant but hopeful, like a man terrified he might wake from a dream. She moved closer, and his arms wrapped around her with a warmth she hadn't felt since childhood. The woman tried to interrupt, insisting this was a mistake, but her voice shook too much to sound convincing. The man with the folder stepped forward, revealing the truth. Documents showing forged reports, false signatures, and a long trail of manipulation meant to keep them apart. Her father confronted the woman, demanding answers, but she had no defense left. Her lies had finally unraveled, just when everything seemed to fall into place. The man handed her father one last document, something he had kept for the final reveal. Her father read it once, then looked at her in stunned silence. It wasn't just lies about her disappearance. There was another secret, one that neither of them had ever imagined, and it changed everything all over again. Her father lowered the final document with a shaky breath, his eyes softening as he explained the hidden truth. He had never stopped searching for her. In fact, he had legally named her the sole heir to everything he owned, hoping she would one day return. The woman had tried to bury this information along with every trail leading back to her real life, afraid of losing control. Hearing this, the girl felt a wave of emotions: relief, anger, and a quiet kind of peace that came from finally understanding the full story. The woman was escorted away to face the consequences of her choices, leaving the cemetery silent once again. But this time, the silence didn't feel heavy. Her father held her hand as they walked toward his car, moving slowly, as if trying to make up for all the years stolen from them. He apologized for the pain she endured, and she forgave him, not because everything was perfect now, but because they could finally begin again. As they drove away from the grave that once symbolized loss, she felt something shift inside her. The past had been painful, but the future didn't age.